A person does not usually meet evil wearing horns or announcing itself with noise. Most often it arrives quietly, clothed in familiarity, sometimes even kindness. Carl Jung believed that what we call evil is not always a monster outside us, but a shadow, unconscious, denied, unintegrated, that seeks expression. And when a person refuses to confront their own shadow, they begin to live it out unconsciously, harming others while believing themselves innocent. This is why Jung did not advise fighting evil directly, nor preaching morality to those consumed by it. He advised awareness, distance, and inner clarity. The story of avoiding an evil person is not a story of fear, but of consciousness learning when to step back. There was once a man who believed that understanding people deeply would protect him from harm. He watched faces carefully, listened closely to words, and assumed that insight alone was enough. He had grown up learning that judging others was wrong, that everyone deserved empathy, that every wound explained every cruelty. Over time, this belief became his identity. He prided himself on his tolerance. He believed he could see goodness where others saw danger. Yet Jung would say that this is often the first trap, mistaking blindness for compassion. This man met many people, but one person stood out not because of obvious cruelty, but because of a strange emotional gravity. Around this person, conversations felt draining. There was always a subtle shift where attention returned to them, where problems were exaggerated, where blame floated in the air without landing anywhere specific. Nothing overtly wrong occurred. No insult, no open attack. Yet something inside the man felt compressed, as if his inner space was shrinking. Jung wrote that the psyche reacts before the intellect. The body and emotions often recognize danger long before the mind admits it. But the man ignored this. He told himself that discomfort was his own issue, that maybe this person was misunderstood, that patience would resolve everything. He believed that staying close would heal both of them. What he did not realize was that he was standing too close to someone who had disowned their own shadow. This person never admitted fault, never truly reflected, never felt guilt in a transformative way. When something went wrong, it was always because of others, circumstances, fate, or misunderstanding. Jung warned that when a person cannot see their shadow, they project it outward. They do not experience themselves as evil. Instead, the world becomes evil to them, and anyone close becomes a target for projection. Slowly, subtly, the man began to change. He started doubting his perceptions. When he felt hurt, he questioned whether he was being too sensitive. When he felt angry, he suppressed it, believing anger was a moral failure. Jung emphasized that suppressed emotions do not disappear. They turn inward or leak out in distorted forms. The man became tired without knowing why. His dreams grew restless. He felt disconnected from his own instincts. The evil Jung described is not dramatic. It is quiet erosion. It is the kind that convinces you that your boundaries are selfish, that your intuition is wrong, that endurance equals virtue. Evil, in this sense, feeds on unconsciousness. It grows where awareness is absent. One day, the man noticed something unsettling. After every interaction with this person, he felt smaller, less real. His thoughts became tangled. His energy dropped. Jung would have said that this was a psychic infection, not supernatural, but psychological. When you remain close to someone who constantly projects their shadow, you are forced to carry what they refuse to see. Over time, this becomes unbearable. Still, the man stayed. He believed leaving would make him cruel. He believed understanding required sacrifice. Jung warned strongly against this confusion. He believed that morality without consciousness becomes self-destruction. Compassion without boundaries turns into complicity with evil. The turning point did not come through logic. It came through a dream. In the dream, the man stood in a house where the walls slowly leaned inward. He tried to hold them apart with his hands, but the more he pushed, the heavier they became. The other person stood watching calmly, doing nothing, saying nothing. When the walls finally crushed him, the person simply walked away. Jung considered dreams messages from the unconscious, corrective signals when the conscious attitude is wrong. The man woke with a deep sense of clarity. For the first time, he did not analyze. He felt, and what he felt was danger, not dramatic, but undeniable. Avoiding an evil person, Jung would say, does not mean labeling them as monsters. It means recognizing patterns, lack of responsibility, chronic blame, emotional manipulation, absence of genuine remorse, and a strange emptiness where empathy should be. Evil is not always hatred. Sometimes it is a vacuum. The man began to distance himself quietly. No accusations. No explanations. Jung believed that arguing with unconscious people is useless because they do not hear words, only threats to their self-image. So the man chose silence, distance, inner withdrawal. As he stepped back, something remarkable happened. His energy returned. His thoughts became clearer. His emotions felt alive again. He realized that avoiding evil was not cowardice, it was self-respect. Jung emphasized that individuation, the process of becoming whole, requires protecting the psyche from forces that fragment it. You cannot integrate your shadow while drowning in someone else's. The other person reacted, as projected shadows often do. Confusion turned into quiet resentment. Victimhood surfaced. Stories were told. The man was painted as cold, ungrateful, cruel. Jung warned that when you stop participating in someone's unconscious drama, you become the villain in their story. This is not a sign that you are wrong. It is a sign that you have stepped out of projection. The man did not defend himself. He did not try to correct the narrative. Jung believed that truth does not need constant explanation. He focused instead on observing himself. He noticed how much of his own shadow had been activated by staying too long. Suppressed anger, fear of rejection, need for approval. Avoiding the evil person forced him to confront these aspects within himself. This is the deeper lesson Jung pointed toward. Avoiding evil outside is inseparable from integrating shadow inside. If you do not know your own darkness, you will either become it or submit to it in others. The man learned that boundaries are not walls of hatred. They are lines of clarity. Over time, he understood something profound. Evil thrives on unconscious contracts. It survives because someone agrees, silently, to tolerate what feels wrong. The moment consciousness enters, the contract dissolves. No fight is required. No victory is claimed. Distance itself becomes the cure. Jung never promised that avoiding evil would be painless. There is loneliness in stepping away. There is grief in releasing illusions. But he believed that psychic health depends on this courage. A person who continually exposes themselves to unconscious evil will eventually lose access to their own inner voice. The man rebuilt his life slowly. He chose relationships that allowed mutual responsibility. He trusted discomfort as information, not as weakness. He no longer confused endurance with virtue. Most importantly, he accepted that some people are not meant to be healed by us. Jung warned that trying to save others often hides an unconscious desire to avoid saving oneself. In the end, the story is not about condemnation. It is about discernment. Avoiding an evil person is not an act of superiority. It is an act of alignment. Jung believed that the psyche seeks wholeness above morality. And wholeness sometimes requires walking away without hatred, without drama, and without looking back. Because the most dangerous evil is not what attacks you openly, but what slowly convinces you to abandon yourself. This is Today Reality. Thanks for watching. Please like, share this video and subscribe this channel.